Hey everybody, this is Luke from Make Masking Optional. I'm here with John VonLangen. He's your trustee candidate for Zone 7 for Billings Public Schools. You're not going to want to miss this interview. We're going to change topics on you again.
Sure.
It's the speed round.
I love the speed round.
We're going to move to the budget now.
All right.
All right. And could you just talk a little bit about times in your life where you've had to maintain a budget or been responsible for a budget?
Gosh, every week it seems to get harder to keep a budget, doesn't it, with inflation?
I'd say.
So, yeah, I think just because you have money doesn't mean you have to spend it. And I think that should apply to any type of governmental organization as well. People should live within their means, not always plan on expanding.
Yes.
Our means are.
Yeah. So in your personal life, have you had, you just talked about inflation. So your cost of living, my cost of living, everyone's cost of living is rising.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you prioritize in your personal life, if that's where you want to focus, on, where you cut first, or, what are some principles that guide that when you're making those decisions personally?
Personally, I think you have to take a look at what are the most important things to you and what are less important, and try and rank those things. And then after you rank them, then use your money accordingly, according to what is most important.
That's good.
Okay. Can I
Please.
move on? Okay. So in a period of reduced financial resources, what would be your priorities for education spending by the district? Of course, you don't have all of the list to look at, but just generally speaking, if there's anything that comes up.
I think kids are the most important aspect of that, and making sure that kids have the resources that they need. I think that's the most important thing. From there, you can move on to teachers and then staff. But kids, you really have to focus on what the kids absolutely need.
That's good.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on to the topic that has consumed most of us for the last couple of years, which is COVID. And if you were a board member during these past 2 years, would you have voted in favor or against mandating masks for school children?
I would have voted against mandating masks. I think each parent, each family, each teacher, each staff person should have had the ability to decide for themselves what is best for them, whether that means that they wear a mask, whether they didn't wear a mask, totally up to them.
So what would you say to critics who say something along the lines of, that makes you anti-science, or you're not listening to the experts, or something along those lines? Would you have a response to somebody that says that?
Yeah, I don't think that's anti-science. I think all of the most recent studies in particular that have come out have validated that opinion, that that it's questionable whether masks have helped in any way at all.
Yeah, I think as the person who's responsible for the Montana Statistics website, who's looked at the data, we had 6,000 plus students in Yellowstone County who were in school in person in mask optional schools through the Delta wave, through the Omicron surge. And those people, they were able to not have the hindrances of a mandate while still giving people the freedom to choose. And I think they showed that the mandate wasn't the thing that was keeping us in school, wasn't keeping our schools open. And so I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think we've never done that before, right? Never in the history of our country have we forced masks on anyone. Never in the history of our country, or in our country's future, let me say, should that ever happen again.
Yeah.
We're a free country. People are allowed to make choices for themselves. Whether or not we agree with them, that's their decision.
Yep, that's great.
Okay. So masking was a big issue, and we're not dealing with it right now. So is masking your only concern about education?
Of course it's not. I think masking has just been one of the major issues over the past year and a half, 2 years or so. But that issue has not gone away yet. Our board is currently operating in a state of emergency. Policy 1905 is still in effect. And until that policy is terminated, right now our superintendent could say, hey, you know what, tomorrow I feel like all the kids should be masked. And that's what would happen. So we need to look at terminating that policy and also taking the school district out of a state of emergency. And then after that, how do we prevent this current situation? How do we How do we limit the ability of the school system to declare a state of emergency and continue to operate under a state of emergency? I think all that needs to be looked at and reviewed and hopefully changed.
That's good.
I like that.
That's enough COVID talk for one night. We'll switch topics.
Thank you, Luke.
2 years is plenty of time to. Let's talk about curriculum for a minute. Do you think that parents have the right to know the curriculum that teachers are teaching?
Of course. I'm personally vested in my kids. I want to know what they're learning, not just what they're learning, but how they're learning it. I think one of the big issues right now is Amplify Math. I think that's going on through grades 6 through 8 right now. The current board of trustees is evaluating that program. And frankly, equitable math. I think they use the term equitable in describing Amplify Math program. I think should be terrifying to any parent. Math with a side of activism is not good for any of our kids. And I hope all the parents in the school district too actually take the time to go to the Lincoln Center and look at the textbooks like you did and speak up at board meetings to say, hey, we don't want this for our kids. We just want them to teach math. That's it.
What is your position on CRT?
Are you familiar with CRT?
Are you familiar with
Critical race theory.
Critical race theory. I believe that our Attorney General has come out and said that Montana law does not allow for critical race theory to be taught in our school system. I'm against critical race theory and it being taught in our system. I believe in Martin Luther King, that people should be judged by the content of their character. And anything other than that is something that shouldn't be taught in our schools.
That's good. A follow-up question to that then. Do you believe that there still is racism today in Billings, Montana? Are there still people that are can act racist or be racist?
I think there is racism throughout the entire world. And I think there is not a way to get to a zero state of racism. But if we focus on judging people by the content of their character, I think we'll go a long ways towards resolving that.
That's good. And one more follow-up question to that then. Do you think that there's more than, well, one of the criticisms of people who oppose CRT is that people who oppose it are just biased themselves. They might be racist themselves. They don't want to address racism. Do you think there's more than one way to teach, about the evils of racism, about the evils of America's past with slavery? Is there more than one way besides CRT to teach that?
Absolutely. I think you just look at history for what it is. There's good parts of history, there's bad parts of history, and let the kids hear about history, all of it, and then let the kids formulate their thoughts with respect to it. I think that's the most important thing. The more we can take opinions out of history, the better. The more we stick to the facts, good, bad, there's both, plenty of it. Kids should know that.
That's good. John, how can people connect with you?
I would say go to my Facebook site. It's John VonLangen for Billings Schools. That'll give you links to websites, to email addresses, and feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to message you back.
Perfect. Well, folks, you just heard it from John VonLangen, trustee candidate for Zone 7 for Billings Schools. He's pro-parent, he's pro-student, he's pro-education, he's pro-teacher. He just wants a quality education for your child. I think that tonight we showed and demonstrated why it would be a good idea to change in Billings Public Schools, why it's necessary. Ballots will be coming out in the middle of April, and they're due back by May 3rd. So when you get your ballot in the mail, just go ahead and check that name for John VonLangen. And you can find out more about us at makemaskinoptional.com. We'll have links to all the videos with all the trustee candidates that we've interviewed. And we hope that you'll vote for John.
Thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
See you guys.